Hey, everybody, Friday MLB time. It's your boy Choppadong, and down below me is Raz GPT, as everybody knows him. Thanks for piling in. Yes, we're going to hashtag win, and we are going to be quick today. And I know there's only a few of you piled in, so if y'all in the chat would help other people in the chat fill them in, because Razzle and I are going to try and really fly today. We've got lineups that we've got to get updated. We've got, the basics, the weather, the chalk, the little bit of tournament pivots and all that kind of stuff. But to be fair, so that you guys all know, full disclosure, going forward, my wife has started her school year. She's a school teacher. And being that she has started her school year, I have pretty much a hard stop time of about 5 to 5:15 Central time. So it's 6:15 Eastern time for you guys, and that's because I still pick her up from work for actually another couple of weeks before we become a 2-car family again. Not to delve deep into my personal life, but we've been a 1-car family since COVID, and that has been really, really weird on a lot of fronts. We just wait for the used car market to settle back down. I'm assuming you don't own 2 cars, Razzle.
I do not.
Unless
close to. I'm debating another one, but yeah, as of right now, I do not have 2 vehicles.
So we've got a transportation car and then a toy car, kind of like a fun around type thing is what we're after.
Kind of.
Or
something just a little bigger for traveling around or doing things, and then a car for local stuff.
Yeah. Well, that's what we actually did for people that know me, and I talked to Chuck in the comments quite a bit. Honestly, he's learning poker, and you play poker, and I play a lot of poker. So for the 2 or 3 days a week that I kind of go up to the casinos and play poker to work on the poker community content and stuff that I'm trying to get some traction on the sharp side of things, we need a little car that gets some good gas mileage. And so that's what puts the second. We got the SUV for the longer trips. We've got the little around city car, hopefully, and we're back and rolling, and she can drive her damn self to work, because I've been for 3 years taking her and dropping her off every day and picking her up and bringing her home every day, along with another kid at work. And so that alone puts super easy to hit 22,000 miles per year on a car. And you're going to burn through cars pretty quick when you do that. So
right,
we're trying to avoid that. Long, sorry, man. We don't do Thursdays because the slates are usually pretty short. Chuck, I will get with you in about the tournament, the poker stuff. I've played the past 2 days and had mixed results myself. But are you playing NFL preseason tonight, Razzle? Long asked that question too.
I am not as of right now.
Yeah, me either. Don't. You got a fresh haircut under that lid?
I don't have much hair under this lid, so.
There we go. I've got.
But no, I have not given myself a fresh haircut. Do need one though.
Oh, well, there you go. When the beard's longer than the hair, I don't know how that works. I still can't grow a full beard.
That's my preferred, because I don't really have a ton of hair. So when I do give myself an actual haircut, it is quite a bit shorter than the beard.
You wear a lot of hats, I assume.
I've always worn hats. So,
yeah.
That's probably why I'm, leaning towards partially bald, because of.
They say
that's
that.
only been in my head since I was 6.
I've worn hats forever too, and I just, for whatever reason, when we did the 23andMe, I do not have the male pattern baldness gene, so I guess whatever it is, what it is. Let's dive into the weather. Let's get these boys up and rolling. Since a few have piled in, we'll share off the weather tab here so you guys can get caught up. That's a whole lot of green. We can skip right past this unless there's something you want to say about some of the 90-degree areas, wind blowing out, whatever type of stuff. I'll leave that up to you, and I'll load up the other stuff.
It's 90 degrees in the Midwest, Kansas City, St. Louis, but they're 2 ballparks that we don't recognize as offensive ballparks, so maybe it slightly boosts them. But one of them has Kansas City versus the White Sox, so is it a boost? The other one does have the New York Yankees, but I see the Yankees are without Stanton, who's been in their hottest hitter, which I thought was really weird. Wind-wise, it's Kansas City, Minnesota, really. slight wins in Sacramento, which I guess help. But lower 80s. I mean, it's still an offensive ballpark, but there's nothing that really screams to me we have to go overweight on this game just due to weather.
All right. Well, we'll see what teams you might be targeting when we talk about those stacks here in a minute. We'll see if they don't match up with some of those ballparks just coincidentally. Looking at the DS here really quick for the chalk and the pitchers on FanDuel, it's Framber Valdez for cash games. We'll talk pivots and stuff here in a minute, but I want to double check the DraftKings chalk as well. But if you're playing cash games, that's a pretty big sign that the ownership is going to land on Framber Valdez. So that makes that decision actually relatively easy, whether you like the decision or not, for FanDuel. When I kick over to DraftKings and sort by ownership, this is going to usually be a little bit different. But Valdez is going to garner ownership, of course, on both sites. But then now you've got some Jack Perkins, which is interesting, at 5,900, facing the LA Angels. That almost could go both ways. I bet Razzle says that he doesn't mind a little exposure to the Angels. Morton and golly, Joe Boyle, Sean Manaea, Kikuchi down there at 13%. Lucas Gila. Looks like there's a lot of tournament stuff to talk about. I mean, Framber Valdez might be your SP1 in a cash game. The other guys we might have to look at the Carnage report for. But in the meantime, either tournament pivot on FanDuel or who's your SP2, who's your favorite few on DraftKings? Because it looks like it could be a pretty wide open competition between 5 or 6 guys.
My favorite SP2 is a GPP SP2, and
Sure.
It's Joe Boyle.
Okay.
He and Jack Perkins are essentially the same type of pitcher, but Perkins is pitching in a bandbox and Joe Boyle is pitching in the Grand Canyon. Like, he's pitching in San Francisco.
Yeah.
Well, Perkins is pitching in that minor league ballpark in Sacramento.
And we've also got Coors on the slate, which makes sense why
right.
people might be headed for those sub 6K pitcher guys.
Yeah, that probably does make sense because, I mean, Perkins is taking on the Angels and their huge strikeout upside, but still, I am going to Boyle in that comparison, who's even cheaper. I think it's just a better situation overall. But, you know, one of my other favorites would be Giolito, mid 8K guy. Not that I think Miami is a super weak offense overall. They just aren't overly dangerous though. But I mean, Luis Gil, big price difference between FanDuel and DraftKings, so I kind of like his name value on DK. I don't know if he's there yet in his return from injury and everything. I think I like Kikuchi more in that A's versus Angels matchup, to be honest. Obviously a little pricier, but still. I mean, overall the pitching, I guess, just isn't overly exciting.
Right.
I like Charlie Morton more than the field's going to because he's been showing K upside, and the Minnesota lineup just isn't good. The dangerous spot, but there's a lot of dangerous spots on the slate outside of Framber Valdez.
How did Jacob deGrom fall in ownership so far down? I guess it's GPP, and you can only take Valdez or deGrom, and then everybody wants to get into Coors or something. But maybe for cash games, it seems like a Valdez-deGrom combo. Unless he's in a terrible matchup, I don't necessarily see that as some awful matchup. Do you?
It's an awful matchup considering Toronto's been the hottest team in the second half.
I'd still take him against like a Milwaukee or somebody who's also been scoring a lot of runs. I mean,
he faced Toronto once. He didn't strike anybody out. Toronto just doesn't strike out.
Okay.
It's really tough to get there. Like, if anything, I would use Noah Cameron against the White Sox.
Okay.
It's a name that nobody really knows about, but he's somebody that I was on early on in the season. Had some big games against Tampa Bay. Just a guy that I like enough
on him
that
either.
he could be SB2 type for cash. I mean, there's a couple guys that are names that I'm not on at all. Like I'm fading Sean Manaea. I'm not playing Luis Castillo. So basically, I'm not taking pitching in that matchup.
Here's what I'm looking at. And I know we don't want to spend a ton of time talking about cash games, but I think it's important to tell people that if you are playing cash, sometimes if both guys were into 20% and then it dropped off to 15% and below for pitch, I just take those two pitchers and probably go with it, as long as they don't look like dumpster fires on Carnage Report or in stats or something like that. I'll roll with the ownership. But tonight, when it's 26% down to 15%, and there's like 4 or 5, 6 guys, 10, even 9.7, and Noah Cameron rounds up to 10. So there's like 8 guys in that range. Now is a time that gives guys that can pick the high floor pitchers, gives them a little bit of an edge, because there are some guys mixed in there that are tournament only, and you might have to make that judgment call for yourself as a DFS player if you're playing cash games. And DeGrom is expensive, and so if a Noah Cameron or somebody targeting the White Sox slips up, you're going to have a lower owned SP2 probably, and that's okay. Sometimes you've got to be willing to make that move in cash games. There's not too clear cut options tonight, so I just wanted to throw that back out there for everybody. Who are your favorite upside pitchers GPP wise?
No, I mean, I guess I kind of mentioned them. Boyle, Charlie Morton,
Okay.
Giolito, I think. I didn't really mention Bassett, but I am playing him. I think the Texas lineup is weak enough without Adalis, Garcia. Bassett's home numbers have been phenomenal. So it's just kind of playing the splits in that one. But, I mean, yeah, I'm not playing Manaea. I'm not playing Kershaw. I'm not playing DeGrom. Like, I'm just looking at the Carnage Report, and Manaea, Kershaw, DeGrom are 3 of the top 5 guys in Carnage rating that I'm not actually playing for varying reasons. I just don't play Luis Castillo when he's on the road. Manaea's been like a 5-inning guy, and his strikeouts had kind of come down from his debut this year. Like, his trends just don't scream I need to play him, even against Seattle. And then Kershaw just is a shell of a former self, even though San Diego doesn't rush left-handed pitching in general. A few of the bats have hit him pretty well. I'd rather just watch Kershaw from a baseball fan standpoint and hope he does well, not from a financial standpoint.
I'm trying to look at that Carnage Report, and with guys like Manaea, Kershaw, that have been around for quite a long time, makes me wonder how much of that is historically weighted as opposed to recent, because it should be picking up on a Kershaw, and I don't think that his K-score, not K-score, but his K-score is obviously low for Kershaw, especially if it's too much history in there, that K-score number would be a lot higher. But even his Carnage number, it's interesting to see some of these guys up there that, that quote unquote safe that we know are like kind of not what they used to be in their prime. Interesting.
Yeah, I was kind of shocked. I mean, I only opened up Carnage Report just for this show, so I was shocked to see those two in the top 3 from Carnage score wise. It's not going to do it for me. I debated Savale even, but he didn't make my pool. He's the guy that I feel like could bite me in the ass if I don't use him. Not that he's a good pitcher or anything, but just some of his performances kind of line up to maybe being solid in this spot. And he obviously has the best K-score, which is super strange to see.
That's what I was going to say. Is it's odd that he would be leading the slate, but he is. Yeah.
So,
but again,
I mean, I pass on that because Kansas City just doesn't strike out that much. So
that's exactly.
Those are the numbers don't make sense.
Exactly. That's where I would go. Now, I would say in the VK score when it drops, 70 points, that speaks to me. But then I look at his, and I know you're probably more of an XFIP kind of guy or whatever, but I just look at Sierra of 2.82. I don't know what the hell his ERA is, but I mean, that feels low for Savale, but I don't know. It's interesting to me. Who are you? I'm assuming you're targeting some of the guys down there in the red, but you might not be on San Francisco at home, but maybe you would be. I don't know. It looks like Tanner Gordon versus Arizona just screams Arizona stacks.
Yeah, it's definitely going to. And I'll clue you in that Arizona is the number 2 leverage stack on DraftKings,
I'm going to
despite them
assume we'll
being
just
the most
call him
popular.
We'll just call him tier 1 now, right?
Yeah, you can just call them tier 1.
Okay, I figure that's almost like a cheating answer that everybody should get. Like my third grader should be able to get. Not that I have a third grader anymore, but he should be able to get that. Let's dive in. Let's do those stacks. Let me jump over here to the leverage stack, and then we'll get to some questions here in a little bit too. I just want to get through the meat and potatoes of what we usually cover, give you a couple of good insights out of Razzle, and then start taking some questions. If you guys have them, great. This is a good time to start guessing tiers and stacks and things like that. I mean, we already knocked Arizona out, 7.88 implied run total, obviously highest on the slate. LA next, Kansas City next, Detroit next. I start looking at the ownerships, and it's a big slate. It's a Friday. Arizona only pulling 86% total ownership, but I think they should be pretty damn chalky tonight because they're just pretty obvious. Everybody else, pretty pedestrian, pretty spread out. So if y'all got some guesses, throw them out there. I don't see any guesses just yet. Long says he's fading all 10K pitchers still. That's fine for tournaments and such. Tournaments, cash games, which you're obviously not playing if you're saying something like that, I would think. Chuck says he's got a 20% pick six boost on preseason. I might do something like that. Like if I find something out of Mutt Madness or those guys, for those of you that are inside DFS Army, that might be what gets me to do a little bit of preseason, but I'm certainly not watching it. I'm personally not a fan. This is going to go against, I don't want to speak poorly on the Army because obviously I'm not going to say that we do bad with picks and with strategy and stuff. I'm just going to say I'm not a fan of the NFL preseason when nobody plays and it's all kind of all that baloney. I don't watch it. It doesn't do anything for me. Astros, are they at least tier 2? Long asks.
I will tell you that the Astros are not tier 3.
Well, that means you're tier 2 above, or they're not on the list at all.
I'm a little shocked. The Astros made tier 1. I wanted to be slightly different in that the most obvious tier 1 team, along with Arizona, might have been the Dodgers. But when you put those two at the top with their pricing, it's through the roof.
But that's maybe why people are reaching for those sub 6K SP2s.
I needed to slide a team up to tier 1 that was much cheaper. And given that I think Brandon Young is pretty weak, and I like the way that a lot of the Houston lineup has been swinging it recently. So Houston found themselves in tier 1 on Arizona.
I wish we had an award, a T-shirt, or something to give out. I wish we had the okay from the boss because I'd make sure Long got one because to me that was a pretty underrated or under the radar call to nail it in tier 1 on the first guess. That's kind of like barreling up a ball and hitting it out. Salary comparison wise, I want to ask you about Colorado versus Fott. And the Angels out in Sacramento. They're all sub 4K average salary guys. So what made you choose Houston over? I get it why you didn't choose them over Kansas City or why Kansas City's not in there. But why over the other guys? Because LA's got some pop and, Colorado, I guess, maybe doesn't have as much pop, but they are in Coors at home against a guy with a high ISO against.
It's really because I think if Houston scores a bunch of runs, it's because they supported 5-man more, right? Like they need more guys to produce to do it. Where the Angels, if they score 8 runs, like it could come from
two guys
hitting 2-3-run home runs and just scratching across 2 other runs that don't really mean anything. Like the Angels are just pure power with strikeouts. Colorado team-wise, it's just, they're just not good.
Only if they play the Cardinals.
And like their opposing pitcher, I know Fott on the road is can give up home runs and struggle. But Houston's facing a pitcher that's allowed a WOBA of 408, which is 61 points ahead of Colorado up fought, and then it's 147 points ahead of the Angels taking on Perkins. Now, Perkins super small sample, so can't really use that because some of his sample came from some relief appearances too. So his numbers to lean on aren't there, but the fact that Young is allowing a 408 WOBA, which puts him, puts them right behind Detroit and Arizona on this slate from a pitcher WOBA allowed standpoint. Thought it was easy. I mean, Detroit's just another too expensive team that we're definitely in consideration because why not? The problem is it's somewhat of a bullpen game for the Twins. I don't really know how long Ole's going to go. If he only goes 2 innings, Jose Urena, I mean, traditionally has just sucked everywhere he's gone. He's played for a ton of teams, been DFA'd by a ton of teams. But I don't know how they're going to mix and match those. Plus, we know that Detroit's kind of been on the struggle bus in the second half of the season. So that's what led me to Houston.
Well, it's interesting. Again, I wouldn't have seen that one coming. What's up, Scotty? I wouldn't have gotten down to them. Now, I would have gone, I get the expensive salaries and the Dodgers and Detroit and whatnot. But so let's just run down the list unless somebody else jumps in and stops me. How many tier 2 teams do you have?
I have 3.
3. You've only got the 2 in tier 1, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So standard rules apply. We're looking for 3 teams. I mean, are the Dodgers in tier 2?
The Dodgers are in tier 2.
They are? Okay.
I just could not conceivably push them down to tier 3 when they're taking on a Randy Vasquez who just doesn't strike out people, allows a lot of contact, especially to left-handed bats. It's just too strong of a matchup.
Okay.
Even though they are
but you'd have to
pricey.
Almost double pump pitcher, which sounds gross, or you'd have to fade Arizona to get them, right?
Yeah.
Which is okay in some combos. It's probably not something you would do in some smaller field GPP. Certainly not something you're going to do in cash. But, I mean, it's a way to go. There's no doubt. What about Detroit? Because that's got to be the same average salary-wise. It's got to be about the same idea. If you're fading Arizona, you might pick up LA or Detroit to avoid having to just go bottom of the barrel with your pitchers.
Detroit did win out and ended up in tier 2. They were in an internal debate with a couple other teams.
Okay.
And they beat out a couple other teams.
Sounds like I'm knocking off the easy ones from tier 2, just based on what we've talked about. Long says Boston. Tier 2, Boston. Final answer.
Boston is not. They are tier 3. They were along with Detroit and 2 other teams for that last spot in tier 2.
So others priced wise, I mean, Athletics at home, maybe New York Yankees. I don't know. You said no Stanton. That probably puts them in tier 3 or below. I've got a sneaky one that I think is a little bit of an upset pick that I kind of want to throw out there. No leverage on the team at all, but generally you can go with some Texas or Seattle. So let me throw a twofer out there and say, are Texas or Seattle your final tier 2 team?
They are not.
Okay. So I wondered how you might feel about Seattle. So now we're kind of back up to the top of the leverage stacks list. Searching those comments for boys. Let's do it's not Kansas City, is it?
Kansas City ended up in tier 3.
Okay. So they're not tier 2. The Angels we mentioned, but I don't think they made tier 2 based on what how we've been talking today.
They did not.
Okay. And we know Boston's not, so that leaves Yankees, Athletics, maybe Met. We know Colorado's not in there because you didn't sound too high on them. Yankees? Let's go down the list.
It is not the Yankees.
How about the Athletics?
It is not the Athletics either.
Well, okay. It's not the Mets, is it?
It is the Mets.
It is the Mets, okay? So
I do not like Castillo on the road. The Mets have hit him pretty well in their careers. I wanted the Mets kind of came in to be a little different as well. But honestly, there's a lot of teams on the slate that I thought could be viable. So some weird decisions had to be made to kind of get to where I am at this point. Because I just realized I don't have Seattle in my top 12, but I'm also not using Sean Manaea, so that feels kind of weird.
Yeah.
Considering like people are going to be on Manaea, so I don't know. I don't really think I think I'm just going to force a bunch of ownership on Seattle, the mini stack side, just to make sure, because I do really like J-Rod or Rosarena. Indifferent on Cal Raleigh. He's struggled enough in the second half, but it's J-Rod for sure that I really want.
Well, you might just use him as a one-off, give him a little boost or something like that, and if he pulls him off, that's okay.
Rosarena grades out pretty well. Decent history against Manaea, so I kind of like that for a mini stack, but yeah, it's tough. Like I mentioned, decisions kind of had to be made. So I'm just gonna go with the way everything works out, or something works out. Not everything. I don't need everything to work out. I just need something to.
You just need enough to work out. Let's get Cujo answered with Atlanta. Do you have anything to say, positive or negative, about the Atlanta matchup tonight?
I don't.
Pretty neutral.
Just I'm overly neutral because they surprisingly just aren't as strong against left-handed pitching as I thought they would be this year. Riley struggled a lot against them. He's out, obviously, but Acuna coming back, don't really know. Albies has been absolutely atrocious against left-handed pitching. When prior to this year, he absolutely crushed them. So I don't know. Just ended up being a spot that didn't feel the greatest. So I don't know what I'm going to do from a mini stack standpoint. I'm sure I'll make sure I get some. I just don't know how aggressively. And, by the looks of it, I'm playing with the DS. Like, they're not projecting overly well either, the Atlanta Bats. So
it's funny to listen to you talk about projections.
I like to I point them out like when they do align with research, and then I point them out when they're completely opposite of what research has told me as well.
Right.
Because I don't rely on that. Like, I don't look at the projection numbers until this, last hour and a half, when I've done pretty much everything I'm going to do. So now, I'm basically in boosting and dropping guys down based on my notes and the numbers inside of my head, which
let's do
sometimes
this.
It's a weird place.
Who are, say, the top 2 or 3 guys that you're putting a boost on right now? Or do you want to give that info out?
I mean, I can give it. Doesn't bother me.
It's not too proprietary.
I had to jack up Pete Alonso, which didn't make sense because he's been on fire and he's crushed Luis. I know projections don't take BVP into consideration, but still, like, I had to definitely hit him hard. Kyle Manzardo, been a lot of power. Like, I mean, I'm going position by position. Vinny Pasquantino, guys that I had to bump up. Hunter Goodman in Coors had to be bumped up just so that I make sure I get some. Edgar Cuero, I don't love the White Sox, but the dude's hitting 370 against left-handed pitching, and he's a cheap enough catcher on DK that I feel like I have to get him up because I need to make sure he ends up in some runs.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really all I'm doing all this for is to try to control the amount of percentage that show up, because some of these numbers are sitting to where I'm definitely not getting any exposure. I haven't run it yet, but I can, from my history, I can tell that these guys aren't going to show up. because of how far they're sitting down.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to definitely have to make sure I
Then on the
make
flip
some
side of that
adjustments.
coin, who are you? What would the word be? Deboosting. Who are you? Who are you putting in timeout? Who are you unfriending? I mean, that might be.
Just, I mean, that's tougher to ask because really it's just a bunch of these guys that are through the roof in projection wise.
I mean, are there
Like
some
at
weaker players you're just getting a ton of that you just want to cap?
second base, I like for whatever reason the projection for Luke Keyshaw for the Twins, even though I love him, even though he's starting to cool down, like was through the roof. Like 2.9x. Like
Yeah, so he's going to come into everything just about.
yeah. Chase Meadroth was
that's another one I've seen throughout the year.
2.5x. Ryan Ritter in Coors, but still 2.5x. Like these numbers, Nick Lofton 2.5x is. I just don't need them to be through the roof. And I'll adjust some of these after I make some runs too. But if I can get in, and really the main point of this is to get the guys up that I like mostly, and then I'll run, and then I'll see which guys that I don't like are still showing up, maybe more than 5-6% of my lineups.
Okay.
Just to make sure, because I want the top, 5 to 7 guys at each position to be guys I want more than random names. So that's what I'm trying to do. It's a matter of, will I be it's never going to be a perfect science because some of these guys just have to be in to make some things work.
Right.
And that's where I have to decide which guys I absolutely do not want basically at all. So whether I remove them completely or I just put them as a stack only, using our chain link in the DS.
So I can show people that really quickly here. That's an easy one. That's this thing right over here.
That's something that I'm trying to get stronger and stronger at using. This is the first season I've started incorporating that into my play.
Look at how chalky Arizona is on this DS. When you sort by projected ownership, is that even 9? That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I was thinking it might be 10 or 11 dudes and be like, they can't all make the lineup. But what you're saying with the chain link, so people know, is if I like, I don't know, Tyler Locklear, and I'd rather or Alec Thomas or something like that, Blaze Alexander. I only want to see them in stacks. Then I click the little link on those guys, turn it on, and now they won't pull in as one-offs. They will only pull in as part of stacks. That's another way you control the correlation of your lineups. It's a neat little feature that we have that I don't know if anybody else has that around the industry. They, as of a year or so ago, they didn't.
Yeah, it's one thing that it does take a little bit of practice to try to get used to understanding, why you're doing it, who you should be doing it with.
Right.
Really, it's just a way to also limit your exposure to some of the weak bats. Because, to me, there's nothing more frustrating than having your 5-man stack go off, and you look at that team to see what you need, the rest of the night, and you notice that you have a one-off Nick Allen from Atlanta.
I know, I agree, 100%.
So, I don't want those guys as one-offs. I don't really like them in stacks either, but I'd rather have it be there than the one-off spot for me.
For sure.
Because they can be carried in a stack. They can't be carried by being a one-off.
Let me let you answer that question for Long or somebody else in either the next. I got to go. My wife just called. She's done. The kids are out of school. She's empty-handed. Needs to be picked up. So I got to cut it here. I apologize for that.
No.
Unless you can, I can vanish, take off my image, and then you can close it out from here and handle that question from Long. Totally up to you.
I don't know that I can actually end the stream.
Okay. I don't know that it works.
But we can finish with his question. I am using Waldrop. He did make my pool. Big time name, rose up quickly, struggled last year, looks completely different this year. Cleveland, you're right. I'm not too worried about their bats other than Juan Ramirez, Manzardo. Probably Manzardo Ramirez the most. Just Juan's there. He's not really going to strike out. It is what it is. But I do think that their lineup has a little bit more strikeout upside than their last couple seasons do, as they rely on some younger guys now. So I'm using Waldrop. I am going slightly overweight on him. I would guess I'm going to be around 15%.
Perfect. Thanks as always, man. Sorry to cut everybody off short. We were only going to go another 10 minutes tops anyway. So appreciate the questions, the interaction for me, for Razzle, for all the DFS Army crew. Let's go win some money tonight. I got to go get my wife, so hopefully I can get in before lock. If not, you'll find me on the late slates, hopefully at the top of those leaderboards. So thanks again, Razzle. Have a good weekend,
no
man.
Problem. Yeah,
all
you too.
We'll see everybody later.